How important is Long Beach to Formula Drift? Loved it.
We're gonna party down with Turk tonight.
Let's send it!
Looking for what comes next? For that moment when everything finally...
1 minute!
Whichever path you choose, it starts here.
Max Gear is a high-performance synthetic gear oil designed to provide maximum protection to heavily loaded gears. Its slippery synthetic molecules and center-look additive package not only reduce wear, they virtually eliminate both gear and bearing wear. We run 1,000 horsepower through our transmission and differential all season long and never have a problem. Eliminate a variable. Drift with Royal Purple Max Gear. Pour purple, Royal Purple. You can find Max Gear at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
モータースポーツで得た高度な技術を全てのレイズホイール一本に込める魂は永遠に変わらないビヨンド・ザ・レボリューション The concept is racing.
There's no better way to test your tires than on the racetrack.
They're absolutely shredded now.
That's why at Kenda Tires, we compete with the same tires we sell. And that's how the technology built into every Bethesda UHP Max tire goes from podium
What a performance.
to pavement. Whether you're a professional driver chasing podiums or a grassroots enthusiast looking for weekend excitement, Kenda Tires are designed for your journey.
NGK, the leader in high ignitability spark plugs, is proud to announce the launch of its Mod Performance ignition coils. Designed and built for performance, Mod coils feature custom primary and secondary windings to increase output and performance. Mod coils provide maximum levels of dielectric strength, voltage insulation, and durability. Level up like the pros. Choose Mod Performance ignition coils from NGK, the official coil sponsor of the Formula Drift Prospect class.
Welcome out to Road Atlanta. This is round 2 of the Formula Drift Pro Championship. Set it! Here we go. Yo, let's go. Now, looking strong up front. Boom. Oh, boy. Guess what? Old Captain Clutch Kick is back. How awesome is this? Banging doors, getting aggressive. Wow. Christoph making his presence felt. Big initiation there for Frederick Osborne. That was proper execution. Whoa, are you kidding me? Look at that.
Oswald starts to walk him.
James Deane opened the window of opportunity here for Frederick Osborne. Oh, James Deane gets the win. That was awesome.
All right, what's going on, Atlanta? It's Jacob Gettins here. We're chilling out, waiting on the sun to set while the smoke rolls over the keyhole here in beautiful Atlanta. Michelin Raceway, absolutely pumped. We're going to be doing some kind of chit-chats here over the next little bit in practice. Try to make it a little bit different. Obviously, you get to see these cars warming up, getting ready for competition while we hang out a little bit, kind of chat. And I've got a very, very special guest today. I've got Chris Hughes here, who is, dad of Dylan Hughes. I mean, how's it going? How's your weekend been so far?
Very good. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Starting out the day with some wet practice, which was not ideal, but you know, everybody's got to do it, and now we got a dry track, so now we're actually getting some information we can use hopefully for competition.
Yeah, is it a lot of data logging right now? Like we were kind of chatting before we jumped on air here that like it's a lot of come out, run it, check everything, see what's going on, go back out, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we usually go out. We do like the first 2 or 3 laps working on our wheel speed, making sure that, you know, that he's comfortable with the way the car is responding, and then we start working on chassis setups, trying to dial grip in and out of the car, see what works best for him.
Okay, so it's kind of like set a baseline, see how the car is after a few laps, and how you feel. And I'm assuming too, like notes that you're getting from him, you're then feeding to him and the mechanics, and then they're making decisions at that point.
Yeah, so he'll do a lap. I'll film it, and then I'll send him the lap. I'll ask him, you know, what he was feeling, and then we'll take a look at the video and see if what he's feeling and what the video is showing is kind of the same thing. And then if we need to make some adjustments, you know, it's like you need to be wider and outer 3, you know, something like that. You know, then he talks about whether there's some chassis setups that we can do to try and accommodate that, or is that something that he can just drive to.
What's it like being in the ears of your son? Like, obviously, the spotter-driver relationship is, I mean, it's a very interesting but can be difficult one. Like, have you ever had to pull the dad? You're going to listen to me. This is what we're doing.
No, I wouldn't say I pull the dad card. You know, I mean, this is his deal. You know, he feels what he feels in the car. You know, I try and give him information to try and get the results that we're looking for. But you know, in the end, he's the driver. He's the one that's making the choices. I'll make some suggestions. Sometimes I'm a little bit stronger in my suggestions, but you know, it's up to him in the end because he's driving the car and he needs to be comfortable.
Yeah.
And you know, like what the car is giving him. And like I said, I can make some suggestions to try and help get him there. But you know, it's basically up to him. You know, he makes the final call.
It's an interesting kind of situation that you've got in that, because like obviously you want to make sure he's progressing in the same way, but you're also having to provide in a lot of cases some constructive criticism as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, we have Carlos and we got Alessio down in the pits. You know, they look at the videos as well. They'll make some suggestions. You know, Carlos has a wealth of information as far as chassis setup and, you know, gearing and that type of stuff. So, you know, we all kind of, you know, throw ideas out there. We talk about what would work, you know, what we think can improve things. And, like I said, in the end, Dylan's the one that makes the call. But, yeah, everybody's kind of pitching in, trying to make this thing work as best we can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, I mean, have you been a spotter through like Pro-Am to Pro 2 and to Pro now, or just relatively new?
When he initially started, that's when he was working with Chris Forsberg. So Chris Forsberg was a spotter the first 2 seasons that he was in Pro 2. And then his brother was a spotter for a little bit because I was needed more in the pits at that time. And then as the program progresses, you know, he's able to get some people to work full time on the car. And then I kind of stepped back as, you know, mechanic type, and then I moved into the spotter role. So I still get to come and hang out and feel like I'm part of the team.
Hey, so obviously we've changed up a lot in FD this year. It's been a ton of changes, and now we're into the seating bracket. What's that like from your perspective? Like when that came out, what was your first reaction? And then, you know, after Long Beach, what are you feeling now?
Initially, I wasn't crazy about it because I think Dylan is a pretty good qualifier. But, you know, in the end, they're trying to put on a good show. I understand that, you know, the qualifying, there's a lot of minutia that's, you know, the fans may not appreciate. You know, they're looking for tandem action, you know, guys banging doors, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then after the seating bracket, you know, I'm still on the fence on the whole thing because I think qualifying, you know, the nature of qualifying is you're going to end up, if you do well in qualifying, you're going to be put up against somebody who probably didn't do as well, which gives you an opportunity to move forward, theoretically, gives you an advantage.
Yeah.
Whereas a seating bracket, you know, when you end up with, you know, James Deane and Frederick Osbo in the 32, because that's just kind of the way the cards fell, I don't know if that's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, I think there's a give and a take with every scenario that we have. Like, there is no perfect scenario. I think what it comes down to is what's the best for the show, what's the best for the fans, and then sometimes, you know, the drivers, there's some concessions made to make sure that the fans are happy, but, you know, the drivers aren't maybe as happy about the decision, but ultimately we're here for the fans, so yeah. Yeah, I've very much enjoyed watching the seating bracket, and parts of me misses parts of qualifying. I really liked giving the drivers their due and providing a time where we can just kind of speak directly about that driver with nothing else interfering, but also some of the battles have been incredible already, and it's really mixed up the battles later on.
Yeah, like I said, I think in the end, for the show, tandem battles is what people, that's what they're drawn to. That's what people like to see, and that's probably, the better option. Like I said, me being kind of a techie geek type, I kind of like the minutia, the qualifying, and the precision driving, and
the pursuit for perfection.
Yeah. And like I said, I think of Dylan as more of a, he's definitely a very good qualifier, a very clean, precise driver.
Right.
And so he benefited from the qualifying process, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he had some great qualifying runs, and I mean, I think a lot of it just changed up where the pack sat and everything else. So, yeah, I wanted to kind of bring up something here we've got on screen. You guys have had some insane adventures together, but now getting Charlotte involved with this, like, how wild was this whole thing? Like, was this one of those moments where you step back and be like, what are we doing? Like, this is what we get to do now?
It's pretty crazy, the things that kind of show up and we get to do. The Charlotte thing, she apparently approached FD. She had discovered drifting, was very interested in it. She's a car gal.
Yeah.
And then, they had this idea to wrap the car, try and get some visual stuff that she can use in her shows, like at Coachella.
Yeah.
And then, so it was a very fast process. I think it was like called on Thursday. Like Friday, can you send us a livery that we're looking for? They got it printed. Dylan's brother Dayton ended up wrapping the car through the weekend. They showed up Tuesday for press day. And they basically just walked in, and this is a group of European rave people. They walked into the FD event just with their mouths hanging open. They're like, this stuff's crazy.
It's so good. It's so nice to kind of get different worlds. I mean, I've talked about it a lot. The more we can bring in people with good followings from outside of drifting and bring them in and make them interested in drifting, Charlotte, T-Pain, Will Ramos, like all these musicians,
Yep.
It's great. It makes the sport incredible, and I love seeing this kind of stuff. So, thank you so much for spending a couple minutes up here with me. I'm really looking forward to seeing how you guys do, and best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much. Keep our fingers crossed. Hope you have a good event.
Yeah, well, we'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
For everybody listening, that was Chris Hughes. Obviously Father Dylan Hughes, and it was just awesome to have him up here. And we're going to jump over here in a second to our next guest. We're doing a bit of a spotter show here, so something a little bit different, and want to kind of get some insights on the people that get to study drifting almost for a living. So get them into the chair here. Take a seat. All right, next up on the practice show, Hayden Shepard. What's up, buddy? How are you, man? How you been?
Good. I'm good, man. I'm great.
It's sick. So for everybody at home listening and watching, Hayden, what do you do, man? Like, give us the rundown.
So I am the graphic designer for RTR, as well as the spotter for Ben Hobson and Von Gittin Jr.
I can't. Okay. I mean, obviously spotting for Ben, that's incredible. Having to critique your own boss, like, what is that like?
You would think it's intimidating, but it's one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's such an honor to do it. He is one of the reasons I'm doing this and why I strive to want to be in this sport in the first place. And it's just really exciting for me to be able to do this. And, and seeing him drive as good as he's doing right now, it's like he never left. So
yeah. How did you come into this? Like, how did you get involved with RTR? Because that feels like maybe a difficult group of people to get in with.
So I actually started doing this with sim racing.
Okay.
I was doing some design work and as well as setup work, like car setup with geometry and whatnot on Assetto Corsa.
Okay.
And Forza Motorsport, and just eventually, I think I was a sophomore year high school student. Ended up just starting talking to Vaughn through Instagram and whatnot, and he's such a good person that he was willing to talk to a 14-year-old kid through Instagram.
Yeah.
And he gave me the opportunity to kind of work with him and start doing liveries on the side during COVID. And then my senior year of high school, he gave me an offer letter to come be the graphic designer for the company. And every day's been a privilege. And I've been enjoying it ever since.
Of all the liveries you've designed, what's been your favorite so far?
Man,
I know it's a tough one. It's like asking who's your favorite kid, right?
Every single design is my favorite for different reasons, but I think Vaughn's newest livery that we just came out with is by far my favorite.
Yeah,
because everyone that I've talked to is so happy with it, and especially Vaughn. Like, Vaughn has told me that it's his favorite that he's ever had. And to me, that is like the most rewarding thing. Like, I've told people in the past that, like, I don't really care if I like it very much. It's if I captured the happiness of the driver that I designed it for. So, you know, that happened with this livery the most that it's ever done for me, and we've just been doing so much crazy stuff with this livery as well. Like, y'all are gonna see some stuff that we didn't really show yet tonight under the lights.
Nice.
So I'm excited for y'all to see that.
It's got to be a little bit difficult, like creating something and then watching it almost be destroyed on purpose, and sometimes not on purpose, right? Like, these cars are banging into each other, and then obviously we can throw back to like the fire, like watching, just watching, like, oh, I made this really sick livery, and then literally.
That's part of the game, man. That's part of the sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I actually wasn't at media day.
Oh.
So I literally got a text message, and the car was like burnt to a crisp, and I'm like, oh my God. So, you know, it's part of it, you know. This is, I think, one of the most destructive motorsports in the world, and I've accepted that. And, you know, luckily we have the in-house carbon work, and we're able to make enough parts to have spares. And, you know, have the cars looking brand new whenever they can. So.
I mean, like, literally behind your office is the shop. And, like, you know, you get to kind of take a lunch break, walk through the shop, and see how crazy these cars are, like, all the custom work.
It's so wild. I have to pinch myself all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had the pleasure of touring that facility, and it's wild.
Yeah,
like,
man.
it's crazy everything that's going on. And then, like, the whole locked out section where it's like, check your cell phone in here kind of thing.
Yep.
Dude.
Confiscate it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's a real thing.
Yeah, for sure,
So,
man.
How's Ben been doing now? Is he kind of shaking off that big hit that he saw in Long Beach?
Yeah, man, that was actually, like, so impressive to me that, like, you know, that was the hardest hit of his drifting career.
Yeah.
And he told me that. And the fact that he was able to do the lead that he did against Federico, which was literally 2 laps after that crash, is amazing to me. So, you know, that alone is a really good thing for him for his direction with us at RTR. And, you know, like, he's doing great. And I'm really happy to be beside him and giving him help any way he can, any way I can, and yeah, I'm excited to see his progression.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild. So I do want to take a look. Like, can you walk me through like what you're looking for when spotting? So, like, let's say, you know, you knew Ben had to go up against either Trav Arion or Jonathan Hurst here. Like, what are you looking at in these runs, and then what are you conveying back?
So for Ben, it's he likes to be very short and sweet with his notes. So, you know, with him, I'm a lot more broad, saying, look, you know, this was a good lap. You know, tighten it up in this area and don't suck. While with Vaughn, he likes to be a lot more analytical, and I kind of have to read him a novel throughout each lap to kind of give him. So it's like a really weird thing. This is the first round that I've spotted 2 cars.
Okay.
So, like, I'm like having to flip a switch every lap. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
you're like bent deeper in 2, whereas Vaughn, you're like, okay, your initiation was a bit short. You were shallow in 1, which caused you to be more shallow in 2, like that kind of thing.
And with this track too, like I can trust Ben a little bit more with his driving rather than me having to tell him a bunch of stuff anyways, because he podiumed at this track last year. So, you know, he knows this track with Long Beach. It was a very, like, blind thing for him because he's never driven it.
But literally, like, 2 blind corners, so
yeah. Like, dude, so intimidating. Well, this track is a lot more safe, you know.
Yeah, there's runoff. There's still a wall, man.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people hit that wall.
For sure.
It can happen, so that's, that's interesting that the different mindset that you have to get into as a spotter.
Yeah.
What was the first event that you actually spotted?
My first event was like kind of spotting at Seattle in 2022.
Okay.
Usually we have some problems with being able to see entry from the tower.
Right.
So I volunteered to sit like kind of on the back straightaway and help kind of look with Aaron and Clay, and I was able to help them a lot. And then went to Utah and Irwindale, helped them out again, and then I got the deal to spot Adam and Vaughn last year.
Dang.
And that was another cool one, man. Like, definitely the highlight of last year was getting Adam that win.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I was there and I saw the emotions that were going on, and I'm sure the best part of that is going back to Charlotte and like feeling it and like knowing, like you kind of like show up and there's another trophy up on the rack and like you can viscerally feel it with the people. So
for sure.
Yeah, I assume it's a phenomenal place to work.
Oh, dude, I love it so much. And you know, like it's different like sections of the year, right? So like this year or this point of the year with the FD season, it's like a totally different mindset. Like we got to win, we got to do this, but then during the off season, it's a totally different thing because you know I'm focusing on making these liveries with Lindsey Ross.
Yeah.
And yeah, Lindsey and I are boys, dude, and I love working with him. He's the creative director for RTR.
Yep.
I'm sure you know him.
Oh yeah.
Everyone knows him.
Everybody knows Lindsey.
Yeah. So
sick.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna take a quick break. We're actually there's a new show coming out called Moments with James Deane. So when we come back, we're gonna show a little bit of a teaser for that, man. But dude, thank you so much.
Yes,
I'm
sir,
glad I got you on the show.
Great talking to you.
Yeah, dude, it was great. And yeah, hang tight, everybody, because when we come back, we're gonna be watching Moments with James Deane.
Welcome to the streets of Long Beach.
So my name is James Deane. Long Beach for me, favorite track in the world, best place to start the season. Everything was going really well for us yesterday. Felt very comfortable in the new car. And we were just wrapping up practice and I lost all power. Car went up in flames under the bonnet and basically took off. It melted a nitrous line and it just kept it going. It was fueling it. Passenger, he got himself out really quick. I turned the car off, killed the power, jumped out. Unfortunately, we suffered a lot of damage. Everything underneath the hood was absolutely destroyed. We're just working hard to get back on track.
All right, so you have to check out Moments with James Deane, only on YouTube. Looking forward to that, and looking forward to my next conversation here. We've got, a veteran, one of the best minds in drifting right now. I know you're not going to admit to that, but Amy Bakchis, the woman behind the man. How's it going? How's your weekend been so far? Are you happy to be back in Atlanta?
Atlanta's my favorite.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I'm always happy to be back here. It's so much fun. I mean, even though there was rain this morning and it was very wet,
yeah,
it was still good to be out here.
It's honestly the vibes here, like just the track, the history, everything. It's incredible. It's I don't know. When I tell people to come to a drifting event, it's like this or Irwindale. Those are my two.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just every time. So, I want to talk briefly. There's something that you started doing as of this round, which is kind of taking on the role as the spotter steward, the driver steward, if you will, for ProSpec. So completely volunteer, out of the blue, and you're just like, I want to be able to help out the communication between some of the spotters, especially people that are kind of newer to the stand, and the communication with FD staff and track staff and stuff like that. So why? Like, you got so much to do. Why one more thing?
I do a lot of things.
You do?
But after being at Long Beach this round and just seeing, there usually is communication between the spotters and Formula Drift, a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
As spotters, we have a lot of questions, or we have to call 5 minutes, or we just need to communicate. And I thought maybe I can step in and do that for ProSpec for this round and see how it goes. And luckily, Formula Drift was open to that.
Yeah. Well, I think just it's so tough. Like, when you're coming into this, there's so much you have to learn right off the bat that's not on the track, right?
Right.
Small things like, where do you get your fuel? Where do where do I put tires? Like, things like that. So just giving them a hand and having one more resource that these drivers and teams can have is huge, right?
Yeah, and so those are some of the things that other people on the team might be considering. But then from the spotters, there's also still a lot to learn when you first come in.
Right.
Like, am I allowed to ask that, hey, I need to look at my car? Am I allowed to say, hey, I need to call 5 minutes? Or maybe Formula Drift is looking for my driver.
Yeah.
So want to help bridge that gap a little bit.
Well, and I mean, you're very approachable. Like it's like I feel like you're always very welcoming and open to any conversation, and I think that helps a ton too, that they have somebody that is very much more experienced than they are, but like them, and they can just go to, and it doesn't feel as intimidating as somebody wearing an FD shirt.
Right, I agree with that as well, because that can be intimidating. I am hoping that I am approachable, so thanks for that, but also that I'm able to see both sides of the coin. I empathize with the spotters, obviously. Yeah. Spotters need their questions answered, but I also empathize with the fact that this is an awesome production that needs to keep flowing. We need cars going on track, and so hopefully I see both sides of it.
I honestly want to know, how do you juggle spotting, helping to raise a family, the logistics? There's a lot of the back end of the race team that I think a lot of people don't realize that you're handling day to day as well. How do you do it? Like, how do you manage your time? Is it something like every day is an agenda? Is it just we'll tackle whatever comes at me? How organized or how free-flowing are you?
Yeah, I think I'm still finding that balance. I definitely have a to-do list that I work off of, but I try to keep my priorities in line. So I have alone time in the morning, every single morning. That helps set up my day. If the kids need something, it tends to take priority.
Yeah.
If it's time to focus on drifting, it's time to focus on drifting. I can't put things 100% aside.
Right.
You know, some people say I wear a lot of hats, but I don't think that's the right word because they don't come off. You know,
you just stack them.
But you just kind of learn how to navigate around them and focus and tend to what needs to be tended to in the moment.
That's fair. I think that's a good way to put it, because I mean, I'm sure there's times where things are going on in the pits, but something's going on with the kids, and it's like, okay, we gotta make sure this is happening. We gotta make sure they're happy and healthy and everything else. So I'm super pumped to see it all work, but I don't envy the position. It's like it's a lot. It's so much to do. But you handle it very well.
Thanks. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And being here at the drift events is kind of like, okay, now this is what I get to focus on. It's almost like a reward for all of the other days of being scattered.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the reward at the end. Like, all the work leads up to the actual driving. Like, this is the fun part.
Right.
The logistics, moving the rig around, getting everything sorted, like, that's the work. This is the part that we get to have fun. So
yeah, I'll tell Odie, like, okay, I'm gonna go up to the tower now and read before things start.
Another bit of alone time, right? Just like up there with a book and.
Seriously.
Yeah. No, that's cool. What's it? We talked to the other spotters, but like, what's it like being in Odie's ear? That type of relationship. Like, what type of feedback does he want or receive well? Are you ever like really harsh with them, or is it? You don't have to like provide all the details, but I'm just curious how that plays out, run to run.
Yeah, so we've been married for a long time, so hopefully we have some decent communication, right? So I think it is walking the fine line of knowing how to critically evaluate what's going on track, while at the same time balancing the empathy of this is what he's going through as a driver. So knowing what is important to say, knowing what he wants me to keep it pretty short and brief.
Okay.
I try. I don't know if I meet that for him, but I try. And he's not looking to me for technical information necessarily, but more of, if I was a judge, this is what I'm seeing. So my role is to be more of like, if this is what I think the judges are going to respond to that run with.
That's a bit of a different take that I think is really important. You're not going like, oh, we need to, add more three more clicks of rebound. You're like,
I can't tell Amy Bakchis.
I know, right? Can you imagine? Could you imagine? I'm sure there's a few times you're like, I think you should do this.
No.
But no, like you often in the spotters tower, you are very close to the judges. You get here early. You always have good notes, and you're always within a very short communication with the judges. So I feel like it's almost like a listening in to be like, what are they like? There's time where you can communicate and get feedback, but I feel like there's some strategy about where you sit that you're always getting feedback.
My strategy of where I sit is really because I'm short.
Oh. Perfect. I read way too deep into that.
I gotta be in the front.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I'm just one of those students who sits in the front row and raises my hand.
Okay.
I pay attention in drivers' meetings. I know the rule books.
Yeah.
I just this is my studious nature gets to come out here as a spotter.
That's fair. You do know the rule book. I would say of everybody here, it's like you're like top 5. I would love to do like a rule book trivia of like what rule book is this line in? You know, maybe if you could guess what section it's in, subsection. No. I think if we made it, I think if I gave everyone like 3 rounds notice to memorize it, you would have that down pat. You'd be telling me subsections, lines. We'd be ready to go.
As long as I can keep, we've been doing this for so many years. As long as I can keep my years straight.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Do you like when they drop that there's a new revision, are you right on it and you're like, okay, this is what this could mean, this is what the scenario could be with that change?
I am.
Yeah. Okay.
I am.
You and I are the same.
And they're so good about redlining it, so I don't have to read the whole thing over.
Just go to the very end.
What were the changes?
Yeah.
I need to know them.
I think what's cool too that a lot of people don't know is all those rule books are available online. You can go to FD, scroll to the very bottom of the page. It says rule books. They're all there, and all the revisions are in it too. So
yeah.
If you like to nerd out like we like to nerd out about the rule book, it's all there, and you can see it. No, it's great to have your insight on this. I mean, I very much want to start to do podcasts with non-drivers as well. So we might have to do like a full 2-hour sit down. We'll give Odie the heads up. He can take the kids out. We'll just hang out for 2 hours and get like really nerdy with drifting.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I look forward to it. Amy, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy.
Yeah,
I know taking time away from watching. I think we've got Simon coming up.
And then Odie.
Can you give me? Will you hang tight? We got time? Can we hang tight? Just let me know what you would. Maybe tell me what you would tell Simon, because I know you still provide some feedback there, but the majority it's obviously for Odie.
You know, yeah, I let Simon kind of do his thing.
Fair enough. What are you looking for in these runs though? Like, what are you seeing right now with either Rad Dan or Simon, where it's like, okay, this is something that could be changed?
Yeah, so I like to look at where they're initiating, where they are on track, if they're doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay.
Similar thing as looking with the eyes of, what the judges tell us to look for.
Right.
So can my driver expect this other driver to do what he's supposed to be doing?
All right, well, I will let you get back to work. Odie is up next. Thank you so much, Amy. All right, I'll let you get back to it. Thank you. And for everybody else watching, thanks for hanging out during practice. Let me know what you, believe it or not, I'm going to ask for it. Let me know in the comments what you think of these. Who should we get on next? Which section? Should we do FD staff? Should we get team managers, drivers, whatever? But we're going to be back live here, 8:15 for the seating bracket. So stick around. We'll be right back, and we'll get into the fun part of this day here, FD Atlanta. Thank you so much for hanging out. We'll catch you in a few minutes.
Is this it?
This is it! Passionate about a life in racing? Circle track, drag racing, drifting, or monster jam. Find it all at the University of Northwestern Ohio.
The passion here is very different than I've seen any other school. You guys set them up very, very well to succeed and to win in a big-time way.
The fact there's a school you can go to for racing is just a little bit insane, but it's very cool because it gives kids like me the opportunity to chase that dream.
See where your future can take you with a high-performance motorsports degree from the University of Northwestern Ohio.
If you think the only thing that really matters
is how fast you can go, we want you.
Join us at Toyota Racing. the next step was to get this thing on a proper ECU, especially with all the technology that Link has to offer.
Which should give us full communication and full control over all the sensors.
But so far, being able to log in and review every lap has been a huge plus.
To have Link pull through and step up for us and just help us out to be able to all pull it together.
That's all he needs. Simple, cheap, easy, works, good ECU, weatherproof.
It's got enough IOs too, like we're doing tons of stuff. Oil, fuel pressure, boost control.
All those features I have thanks to the Link ECU.